Hi, welcome back. This is Simone from Biim.Games, and today we explain what an array is. The array is a data structure that contains a series of values. The values contained in an array can be retrieved thanks to one or more indexes. It sounds strange, isn't it? But don't worry, now we give a simple explanation. Even if the topic might seem complicated, we can get a clear idea comparing it to everyday life situations. I'm going to use the project we used last time when we saw the functions together, and we can see here we have the cards, and for my explanation they are perfect for explaining you how the array works. So let's go back on the program. I need to do a little changing here. On the card I'm going to enable the drag and drop behavior since the beginning, and I disable the call to the function full hand. In this way I can have total control of the cards, and also is a good excuse for me to show you how is it very interesting to debug things thanks to the function. So in this case I have disabled this one, and I can make all the tests I want with the cards. In this case it's just a visual test, but when you need to do some testing in your game and you need to find a bug, just go into disable the call to the function. It's easy for you to find where the bug is. So let's start our project again, and now, as you can see, the cards are not going anywhere, and I can drag and drop and leave them as I want. So let's start with the arrays. We have three kinds of arrays: one that with one dimension, 2 dimensions, 3 dimensions. Now, one-dimensional array, also called a linear array, they work just like a line here. So imagine here that this is the line of people going to the post office, and this is maybe the counter of the post office. We have only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slots because our array contains only 5 data. And in the array, when we put the data, our index in this case is pointing in this direction. We say, okay, the first index is x0 because we have only one dimension, we don't specify y and z. And then when we want to put a second element inside the array, we say go to x1. In this case we put it here, the other value. When we have another value, we want to put in here x2, and so on. So this is very simple concept. Pile of books, as here, the deck is still in one array. Of course, you see it in vertical and not in horizontal, but the concept is the same. It's just this is a visual thing. So when you start to put books one on top of each other, you just fill the array and so on. And this is for one-dimensional array. Now, if you think about a game like Battleship, that is a two-dimensional array because we have x and y. So in this case, for example, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 a slot, but we want to have more in our array. So in this case, let's make it full. And then we have one array that is bidimensional array. Its x is 5 value and the y is 2. So we have a total of 10 elements that can go in this array. So just very simple concept straight away. You can also imagine this as a series of buildings in the city. So let's say this is the city, the building, and this is all the area that you're covering. You have 1 building, 2 building, 3 buildings. So let's say blocks. Okay, this block. Okay, you have 6 blocks here. Each block have a different building. Each one of these building is a different kind of building. So you say this building is like I don't know, cinema, this is shopping center, and so on. Now, how we want to transform this array in three-dimensional array so we can see how it works as well. These buildings can have many floors. So if these are skyscraper or anyway buildings with more than one floor, you can see that this is the x, this is the y, and we also have the z, that is the elevation that we can have of this building. So if I find a number that is matching well, because this number I made just for the card game, not for this tutorial, but it's okay. Let's swap these two to make it easier. So these buildings are all one floor. So if I want to add another floor, use the Z, so I can make a full user three-dimensional array. Here we are, 1, and then 2. So this array here, the index to point at this value 8, it will say that the x is 0, because as usual we start to count from 0. The y is 0, because the first element of the y as well. And then the z is 0 as well, because it's the first value, so it doesn't go up. But if I'm going to point at this element here, then x become 1, the y is 0 because of the first line of the y, and the z still 0. If I'm going to point at this element is the 6, the x is 2, the y is 0, and the z is 2. And there we are. We have all the 3 index, and now we know what in an array with 1, 2, and 3 dimension are. So concept is very simple, straightforward. It just take elements of real life and you understand. Now another thing the interesting about the array is that of course you can put values inside and then delete the value, so this become empty or 0, depends on the situation. But you can also manipulate the array to do interesting things, like for example this array normally is 3 by 2. Now I want to expand, so I can actually expand the array and then become 4 by 2. So the array can be modified. Oh, I can make it smaller, removing these values, so become 2 by 2. Not only removing the values itself, but also changing the dimension of the array. So the slot are actually not existing anymore, so they just remove it. It can't be reached anymore. There is no index that can go here, because this is the limit, the boundary of the array that we have. So the array can be manipulated in very different way. For example, let's go back to the post office. Okay, let's put this. These are all people outside of the post office. These are the seats where people can sit and waiting for their turn, or the queue, whatever you want to consider, depends on your local post office. And this is the counter. So the first person come in here and enter the post office and go up to here, because the first person. I can put here, but in this case I show you how to manipulate the array in different way. So this second person goes here and so on, third, fourth, and fifth. Now this person is served, so I take the array from the bottom, because depends on the situation how you create the program. You can pick any value anywhere. You don't have to follow any sequence. You just have the index, they say in which point you have to go. In this case, for our purpose, we want to use this as the first customer to be served. So the first customer is served, so we use the value that is here, and then we move all these values here while the customer is served, and you get a new value. Now this customer is finished, it goes away. We don't need anymore this value, and then we take this value here and we serve, and so on, and we go on until we finish all the elements. We continue. So what's happened at one point? It's happening that we have this situation here, okay, and then we have this slot that is empty. So imagine that in your software, for some reason, you need to count each person that is waiting, and you have to do something in the meantime to entertain these people. I don't know, something like that. So if you have an array that is like, now this is 5, so it's easy to iterate and check if the slot is occupied or no. But let's say that your case, your array is containing 100 value or 1000, for example, and you have only 4 or 5 values that are filled inside this array. So you waste a lot of time checking all the values from the first until the last one. So let's say if you have 1000, the computer has to process 1000 check one by one. This is quite a waste of time. Plus, it depends also what you have to do with this value. It might be messing up everything because you have actually considering, let's say if you do average and these values are empty at 0 and you make an average about this array, it's going to mess up the average, because the average of these 4 values here is not the average about, or these 4 plus other 96 value that has 0 as an element, because they're empty, so it becomes 0. So what you're going to do when you have an array, you can just cut. And when you decide to cut the array, you can cut from the beginning or the end. So you're going to consider only those 4 values here and not anymore 5 values or 100 or 1000 that you have. So that's quite interesting. Same thing can be done this way. You can cut out this element, or you can cut for any reason these 2 elements here out, and so the array become only 3 elements large. So really there are many things you can do with array. We will see this in the next days. Now it's just a quick explanation, introduction to let you understand what is an array. But I hope the concept is clear. I make another example just to make sure. This is a pile of books. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3. So this book this pile of books is your array. You need to count how many books you have in the pile, and you need to write down the title of the books. Of course, if you have an array that is large 4, you check each one of these. But when this book is removed, you're not going to process the value that is here because it's not existing. So you need to reduce the array. Or same thing, if you take the book at the bottom away, still you need to remove this from your next check of the array to see which book they are. Otherwise you get empty field as a result. So I hope that is clear. If you have any question, as usual, leave it in the comment. In the next video we'll see a practical use of this array, because we are going to put these cards here that are actually in our deck. We put in an array and we see how things are going. Another thing we're going to do in the following video, not in the next one but the one after probably, is like shuffling the card. How can we shuffle the card that are present in the array, so every time we get a different sequence of the deck? So otherwise, you always get the same card. The game is quite obvious. It's not fun anymore. So many interesting things to do with the arrays. This was just a quick introduction, and then if you like the video, please click a like. If you want to share the video with your friend, you are really welcome to. I really appreciate. Of course, if you want to get notified, hit the notification bell and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. So I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.